Hello everybody, it's Disco here again. Got my drink bottle, well more correctly my son's drink bottle with Trolls on it. And Trolls is an awesome movie. It has all the songs from the 80s and everything else in there. Seriously, how can you not like those songs? If you got a kid that watches a movie on repeat like 1,000 times, at least get them to watch a movie that has songs you like. At least you can sing along. Bonus! So I call that a win. And it's just water. Nothing else. I'm not on the hard stuff. Giveaway to start the day. But there are some things that I wanted to talk about. Oh boy, where to start? Focusing my mind is not something that I'm good at. At the moment, I've now currently stuck in my head this song by Rockwell. I don't know if you've ever heard of this song. No one normally seems to have heard of it. It's called, I think it's called Somebody's Watching Me. Why do I feel like somebody's watching me? I have no privacy. Oh, oh. And yeah, my voice is not the best, and I can kind of sing. Apparently, SingStar thinks I can sing. If that counts for anything, and I think it does. But yeah, that song is just going on a loop through my head now. And now I've moved on to Girls Just Want to Have Fun by Cyndi Lauper. So this is going to be an interesting day. I have my... Can't find the word. Think. Exercise physiotherapist. There, I found the word. Exercise physiotherapist. That's coming over today to help work on my, I can't find words, nerve issue. So then I can't find words today. I don't know what it is. Who will help me work on my nerve issues. So hopefully I'll have more mobility back. Because at the moment, I'm still not able to properly use my hands. They've been locking up a lot. And I have no real shoulder movement at the moment. It just keeps getting progressively worse. I'm going to have to go and review my NDIS plan. So let's see if I can focus and I can talk about Australia's NDIS plan, the controversial NDIS plan. Okay. When you have a disability such as autism, you're more likely to get a plan if you have level 2 autism. Level 1, I've heard, is not very likely, but level 2 or level 3, you're pretty much guaranteed that you're going to get on the NDIS. It's the funding you will get to assist you. It varies from person to person, child to child, so you really don't know. Apparently, my 6-year-old son got a very, very good plan, whereas mine is extremely inadequate. If you go on the forums on Facebook, you will hear... Oh, my tummy's growling. You will hear a lot of people talking about how their plans were not adequate, or they're very angry. A lot of them are extremely angry, and understandably so. They have a lot of things that they need that they can't access. Things like a occupational therapist, a speech therapist, and OT, speech, and psychologist, because a lot of that's required generally for most children, obviously. But what happens is that you have to accumulate all your evidence. You go to your pediatrician. I have to pay privately, so I save up all my money for my son to see a pediatrician. And it's not cheap. We're talking about 300 and something Australian dollars. I don't get a lot of money. I'm just disabled. I'm just a disabled mum, and there's no one else. It's just me and my son. And I save and I save and I save for his appointment. And you get a little bit back, not much. But then you get as much information as you can, and then you get the referral to the specialists. They will write out whatever you need, hopefully, that the NDIS will accept. And then once you've got as much documentation as you can, you will then submit it to the NDIS for a review. And that basically means, from what I've heard, that potentially the person who is working with you puts it through, and possibly 4 people who have no experience with autism at all will decide how much you deserve, and if any of the resources you requested, like assistive cutlery, for example, like specially designed knives and forks you can hold, because I can't use a knife. I haven't got the strength in my hands to use a knife. So when I cut my son's sandwiches for school, it's practically like a murder scene. It's like, I mean, I need assistive cutlery. So if my son can't use a spoon properly, a regular spoon he can't use. So he needs proper assistive cutlery, which is like $15 to $30. It's not cheap. And you can't just have one. I mean, you may need to have 2, you may need to have 3. It depends on what sort of food your child is eating. But they have to decide that. My son is still not properly mastered toilet training. So he's in pull-ups. And given his weight, he can't have pull-ups from the store. My apologies for my tummy growling. But yeah, he can't wear store-bought pull-ups. He's just too big for them because of his age and the fact that he is just such a big boy. He is really, really tall. And he's he's 27 kilos. So I have to order these special dry nights ones, which are about $15 for 9. So if you can imagine going through a packet a day for $14, that would be a lot of money out of pocket. The NDIS may decide, yes, he's entitled to that cost to be covered. Or they might say, no, he might be entitled to 1 nappy a day. And then you will have to pay for the rest out of your own money. It's debatable. You really are at the mercy of whoever looks at the documentation and decides that. My son's pediatrician said he's never going to be toilet trained. And it's, yeah, in my son's case, no. So he got the nappies. But that's the thing, it was really a case of the first, when he started off at 3 years old, he got nothing. Then as time went on, they began to see he's not improving very much, very little improvement at all. Time went along, each year you get reevaluated, and then they will go through the goals that were set, because you have to set goals. Like, originally my son had the goal to be socializing with other children. So you get these buckets allotted. I'm going to call them buckets. I think that's what other people call them. I don't know. Which are core support, which is your equipment, I'm going to call it. So anything you need to buy, like your assistive cutlery. There's different levels as well. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. So level 1, I think it is, would be cutlery and that sort of stuff. Level 2 might be something more substantial. Level 4, for instance, might be bed rails if you have that level of a disability. Totally different than autism. Then you have capacity building supports. If that's correct. Remember, I have trouble with words. Which would be, like, for instance, if you, I actually have support workers, I believe is the name, that can provide transport for me to go to appointments because I can't make transport myself. For me to see a psychologist and an occupational therapist at one stage I was trying to see, it would have cost me $100 in transport. So the money was taken out of that bucket. So I was able to go and attend my appointments. So that service provider was able to had the funding taken from that bucket. Then there was, oh no, I can't remember the name. There's another bucket as well, which is where all of your therapists come from. OT, psychologist, whatever there is. Some therapists, however, are not covered. Like, say you need a psychiatrist. That is not going to be paid for with your NDIS funding. in my case. I found that out, or my son's case, so it would have to be public system. So you don't get any assistance there. So if you have mental health issues, you're on your own there. Bye. They don't help you with that. You just have to get a psychologist and just hope for the best. That's all you're getting. There's a limit. But that's how the NDIS works. And you can't take funding out of any of those buckets and put it somewhere else. So if they gave you, say, $19,000 for therapists, and for instance, say I only see a psychologist, and I may only see a psychologist maybe a certain amount of times. Well, I may not use that amount of money for a psychologist. What if, say, I needed to get more assistive equipment around the house, like I needed more stuff to help me cook. I needed specially designed peelers so I could peel vegetables. I needed specially designed knives so I could cut veggies. And all that sort of stuff. I may need more equipment than I do actual therapy. You're not going to get it. Because they decided to put it in one bucket. So you don't fully get the assistance you want. Well, you're in luck. There's an option. You can review it. However, you will have to wait 3 months for that review to go through. That's the norm. You can still use the funding you've got, assuming you haven't run out of funding, in which case you've got nothing. But if you have some funding left, for the 3 months you have to wait for your review to go through, you can carry on with whatever you got. And you can still use the funding to purchase whatever else you need or attend whatever therapies you need. But, 3-month wait. That's about normal. So you have to be very, very careful with your funding. So if, and even if you do the review, you may get less. So you have to be darn sure you've got enough paperwork when you do that review that they can't knock you back. But even then, they still can. They can still say that it's not justified. Remember, you're dealing with people that aren't actually qualified in autism, so it's all hit and miss. Before this, when my son was 3, there was Hackword in place. I've mentioned Hackword before, where you got $6,000 each year to spend on as needed. Your therapist will come out of Hackword, any equipment will come out of Hackword, you just needed an OT to approve it, which was beneficial. It worked. So you had $6,000 you would stretch out throughout the year, and you knew what that was there. You could work out everything you needed. You just sat down, worked out the costs, and you were good to go. Now, everything you have is under someone else's control. This is the problem with the NDIS. I, for instance, know someone who has a child who is a couple of months younger than my son. They got less money. They have a child with the same diagnosis as my son, with autism. My son has other disabilities as well, but this person has a level 3 autistic son as well who is 6. They got significantly less funding. Their child is non-verbal as well. They did get Auslan, which was good because her son is very good with Auslan. However, they get less funding. They didn't get as much equipment as my son. They got mountains of the funding allotted to them for therapies, which her child cannot attend any therapy sessions at all. So that was very detrimental for her son because her son can't attend therapy. So all the money she needed for her son's he needs equipment, went to therapy, which she specifically said that he cannot attend therapy. He will become aggressive and destroy the room. So she ended up with it not working. My son can become extremely aggressive towards people. So I understand. I'm in a similar boat to her. I had to discontinue speech therapy, occupational therapy, and psychology sessions with my son in one hit because his aggression reached such extreme levels. I was like, I can't cope with him putting so many people in danger. I mean, he hits me and in a meltdown, and fair enough. There's not much I can do. I mean, if a child's having a tantrum, yes, you look at the child and you deal with it in an age-appropriate manner. Given John's condition, that's very difficult because you're dealing with a child with a very, very low mentality, but higher, well, a larger body, so very, very strong body, but technically still around the level of a 6-year-old, but also it's hard because you can't discipline a 1-year-old. You can't put him in the corner for 6 minutes like you would for a 6-year-old because he has no concept of time. He has no concept of why he is there. And he will simply go echolalic and go, sorry, 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 sorry. And you can't get him to speak and understand why he's there. He'll repeat your words back. I'm sorry I hit you. And it's like, why did you hit me? Why did you hit me? There's no comprehension at all. He's listed as having a cognitive deficit as well as autism, level 3. So it's very difficult to manage. So there's really not a lot you can do apart from just talking with him, helping him calm down, even managing tantrums, just finding alternate ways of redirection. It's not like dealing with a normal child. I have a diploma in children's services. I used to be a group leader in a daycare centre. I'm fully accustomed to dealing with tantrums with children of all ages. It's not something that I'm unaccustomed to. However, with a child with special needs as high as my son's, with multiple disabilities, you very much just have to work on the fly. You can read all the books you want. You can have all the experience you want. It's very much guesswork. And these are the things that are not talked about enough. It's one thing to be autistic yourself, and a lot of people do not have the ability to have a voice. YouTube has been a wonderful platform for people to finally have a voice and be taken seriously. Parents of autistic kids, it's hard because they feel judged, and they are judged. You can't talk about the realities of how hard it is to be a parent to an autistic child, because a lot of people only want to see the sensational side of it. They only want to see just a dramatic moment, or they only want to see that, oh, you got a disabled child, you're such a great mom. And that's it. They don't want to be involved. They want to go, oh, your child's doing so well. They're learning. Look at them. Oh, it's not that bad. They'll do better. They don't want to look at the reality of what you're actually facing. They don't want to look at the child for who they are and what they are experiencing. They don't see the amount of strain that you go through on a daily basis. And that is a very, very big problem. Because even regular parents face this. I mean, how much pressure is put on regular parents to turn around and say, oh, well, my child sleeps through the night. My child eats perfectly. My child is always being breastfed because of the stigma of bottle feeding and breastfeeding. There's all that nonsense and everything. I mean, whatever. As long as your child's eating, that's good. Lovely. I'm glad to hear your child is eating. That is good. I don't care how. As long as they're eating, it's good. But that's the thing is, all of this nonsense about joys of motherhood, you can't talk about if you've had a bad day. Because you must be grateful you've had a child. There are people who cannot have children. That's not my fault. I am very sorry for all those people who can't have children. That's horrible. And I'm sad that they're trying so hard and they can't have children. I've done nothing wrong. Why am I the one that's hated? I'm entitled to feel. It's like when you become a parent, you are suddenly pushed to the back and you don't matter. All that matters is the child. And that is a very unfair attitude to take. People seem to forget that as a parent, you are dealing with so much. It's not just physical. I mean, you can see the physical with me. I can't hide that. That's there. That's not disappeared. That's not going to disappear. But it's the mental aspect of it as well. The day in, day out. No one sees that because no one wants to see it. People just want to carry on with their lives like normal, and they don't want to see what is right in front of them. They just want to give a passing praise and carry on with their life. The idea of actually acknowledging and asking is terrifying for them, because then they would have to take some form of responsibility for it. If I turn around and say, I had a horrible day today. I got attacked by John. He punched me in the head. He ripped out my hair. I cried in the corner. I just want someone to talk to. Can I just talk to you? Please tell me about your day. I just want to talk about anything else just to forget today happened. Well, what is someone going to say? That's truly how you feel. But you can't say that. You have to say, oh, it was an alright day. I had a little bit of a rough moment here or there, but it was good. Or you just say, yeah, I had a good day. Because that's what people want to hear. As soon as you dare slip up and mention the day was not great, people will either avoid you, or they will try and come out with platitudes of, well, it could be it was one of those days, but tomorrow's always another day. Stuff like that, which is very disheartening, because your feelings are invalidated, and you have a right to those feelings. I mean, you're trying to process a lot of emotions. I mean, I'm only speaking from my perspective. I don't know what regular parents go through compared to me, but I can imagine that we go through a hell of a lot similarly. I mean, it's hell. Just being autistic myself, and then having a child who's autistic on top of that with other issues, it can be chaos. I mean, I think I slept maybe 3 hours last night. And I still have to deal with my son's issues the next morning and everything on top of that. I still have to wake up with him. I still have to get him ready in the mornings, guide him through everything, get him on the school bus. I still have to smile, have to act like everything's normal, when inside there's my natural tendency to be mute. I don't have an expression. I talk in a very monotone voice. But I still have to smile. I still have to be mummy. I still have to try and reach out for that hug, which you will naturally withdraw from. You still feel the natural instinct to mother. You want to do the gestures. It's not a sort of like, oh, I love my baby. It's a sort of like, okay, now I'm required to hug. Okay, prepare yourself. Okay, hug. Okay, you pulled away. Okay, well, it's okay. You went for the hug. It's okay. You did well. You did well. You still want to do the gestures, but it's frightening. It is your child, yes, but it's still the things that you're struggling with your own autism. You have to fight back your own autism to make the gestures with your child, and then you feel bad as a person because you are not making those gestures with your child as naturally as a neurotypical parent, and you're bouncing back and forth, and the emotional loop begins, and it's just a case of constantly beating yourself up and blah 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 blah. Ugh. Why did no one warn me ahead of time this was not going to be easy? All I heard was joys of motherhood. Motherhood will complete you. You will be happy. I did not hear about this side. No one warned me. I really wish I'd been told. Well, at least now I know. And you know too. If you're going to have kids, think about it. Think very carefully. It's not as easy as you think. If you watch your friends' kids, that's great. But when you have your own kids, not the same. And they will behave very, very differently when they're your own kids. My son's very sassy. He really has an attitude on him. And that's something I was not prepared for. He may have mainly scripting, echolalia, delayed echolalia. He may go to sign language, but oh, is he sassy. Even when he signs, hoo, hoo, hoo. He can give me attitude when he signs. That I did not know, but now I do. Anyway, I better sign off now, guys. But it was great to talk to you again, and I hope I see you again. And hope to hear some comments from you down below. What is up with me and having trouble with concepts? That always bugs me. Just once, I want to get a concept right on a video. Alright, you guys have a great day or night or whatever you're doing. Okay, much love. Disco out. Bye.